stay sharp. Is that supposed to? Your road ends here. We'll make short work of you. Not giving up yet. Tis but a scratch. Such a cheap shot. Your road ends here.
Did you make sure that no one from the Queen's entourage was following your trail? Beware her spokespeople. And if you're acting on her behalf, be gone and perish! The first time I saw her was years ago, when night fell over Brockmiala, and the gatherers had already fallen into a peaceful slumber. Then, the first sign appeared, a harbinger of what was to come. The mist, thicker than ever before. Wilfred was the first to notice it, as he still tended to the beehives. Finally, from the milky shroud suspended between the earth and the sky, an unexpected procession emerged, led by the Queen of Queens. Oh, oh. We were lucky to be wearing our attire. Along with the mist came stinging troubles. The Queen issued a decree, and that meant trouble. That's right. Troubles are like bee stings. Man swells from them, and later on, he doesn't even resemble a human anymore. The most important thing is that both Brock and Brockmiala were protected. Yes, that's the most important thing. Depends on who's asking. Do you bring trouble, or are you in need? Do you hear the buzzing of the bee swarm, or are you carrying that noise yourself? No, I can't hear any buzzing from you. Hold on. You don't know what you're doing here yourself, and you are looking for answers, or the right questions. Ah, well, same difference. My name is Brock. If you need something to shield yourself from evil, you've come to the right place. Of course. Go ahead. Choose something. It's the attire of many families from Brockmiala. It protected them, just like it protected me. That's right, but I can't give it to you. It shields me from the Queen's gaze. I am invisible to her. I hope you understand. No one wants to be noticed by her. I hope your protective beads won't get much use. Travel safely.
Prepare for battle. I will be your downfall. You'll pay for that insult.
look like a worldly, well-travelled person. I'm not wrong, am I? Of course I'm not. Tell me, would you be interested in some incredibly rare, mysterious and precious items? Then let me introduce you to a one-of-a-kind collection of Arthurian relics. I assure you, you won't see anything like this anywhere else on Avalon. Here's an authentic Four-Dweller's tooth. And look, a bone from Sir Galahad's little finger. And over here, a fragment of a foot wrap worn by King Arthur himself, along with many other riches.
Hello again. It's always good to see a familiar face. Please take a look at my exceptional collection and let me know if something catches your eye.
Please, state your business. A fight to the death. It must be so exciting. Go the hunt.
Aye, I'm sorry to tell you, but this here piece is just a fancy trinket. You might as well ask me to hammer a piece of glass. I'm afraid I can't help you there, friend. Oi, friend. You went and made armor, based on the Armor's Almanac, didn't you? I should have warned you. That's a terrible idea. Those books are the biggest load of crap I've ever come across. And I've talked to Rolf when he's had a few too many. Yeah, well, Alar is a fanatical follower of that Shadowblade. He's read a couple of those books, and suddenly he thinks he knows my trade better than I do after 40 years in the forge. He even had the nerve to argue with me, Now, I told him I can hammer your face just as easily as this steel. Well, that shut him up quick. Arden Shitblade, you mean? Of course I don't respect him. That fool is ruining the reputation of every armorer out there. No one knows who he is or why his nonsense even gets published, but plenty of people would love to get their hands on him. I'd gladly get rid of him myself. You don't get it. Those books, they are dangerous. Now think about it. Somebody reads that nonsense, makes armor, and then heads out into the world. What do you think will happen? They sure as hell won't become a Knight of the Round Table. First Grindelow they come across will punch right through that garbage armor. And you don't think the one writing this nonsense, testing people's faith, is at fault? Because I sure do. To me, that Shadow Blade is dangerous, and someone needs to put an end to it. Well, if you could find him, knock some sense into his empty head, and cut off his hands, so he'd never write another book. I would cover you in gold. I've got no idea. Maybe Allah knows something. He's the biggest admirer of that charlatan I've ever met. He's been trying to share the wisdom of those books, but I chased him off and haven't seen him since. Thank you. You'll not only make this old smith happy, but the entire guild will be grateful.
What? A fake? Impossible. I would never knowingly sell a fake Arthurian relic. You must be mistaken. I acquired this relic from a trusted source. I assure you, perhaps your eye isn't discerning enough to appreciate its true value. I can assure you, my friend, that you are mistaken. Perhaps your blacksmith doesn't have as discerning an eye as I do. You're clearly still new to the ways of relics. You must understand that once you've owned one, it's yours for good. It's like an unbreakable bond, and I'm afraid I couldn't sever it even if I wanted to. Besides, these relics are far too valuable to just return. Just think of the prestige and power it can bring you, my friend. Trust me, you won't regret keeping it.
Listen, friend, I'm just a humble trader trying to make a living. You can't expect me to offer refunds on goods that have already changed hands.
It's just not good for business, you know? Your purchase was a one-time deal. As far as I'm concerned, you got what you paid for. Besides, these ancient relics, they're one-of-a-kind items, and there are always going to be some naysayers out there. But let me make it up to you. I'll offer you a special deal on my other relics. Trust me, you won't regret it. How about it? I am deeply offended. I assure you, my merchandise is one of the finest quality. Perhaps there was an honest mistake, but you could at least try to appreciate that I'm willing to make it right. I've been in this business for years, and I pride myself on my reputation for honesty and integrity.
Listen, I can understand your frustration, but let's not resort to violence here. We can work this out like civilized people.
How about I offer you an even bigger discount on your next purchase? Or perhaps I could interest you in a different, even more valuable item?
Don't let a little setback ruin our potential business relationship. Let's put this behind us and move forward, shall we?
Wasted time? That's rich coming from someone who can't even tell the difference between a genuine relic and a counterfeit one.
Hello again. I understand. Hello again.
Ah, that's you. Do you need something? You did? I thought I heard some hammering. Oh, well, thank you for that. Truly. One less thing to worry about, right? Here, I put aside some money from my budget. You've earned it. And you have my gratitude. I'd ask you to fix the refugee barracks, but, well, there's no budget for making people's lives slightly less miserable. We'd have to do with something less spectacular. There are two places around here that could use some fixing up. First, there's the old gate. It used to be a proud marker for our territory, but now it's more of a sorry welcome sign. Then, there's the monument to the sea creature. It's been weathered down by the salty breeze, and honestly, it's starting to look less monumental and more pathetic. If you could restore them, it would do wonders for morale, and maybe even impress Fergus. What do you say? Ah, that's the spirit! I knew I could count on you. Once those are back in shape, this place might start looking like it's cared for again. Well, the thing is, I've always liked the village and the veterans living here. When you go to the tavern, they'd always share a drink and a story with you. Some of them can be real dicks. Take Tadkin, for example. But all in all, it's always been a nice place to visit. So, when the opportunity came up, I figured, why not? But the moment I took this post, I stopped being Tiernan the drinking buddy and turned into their punching bag. It's just demands, demands, demands. And when I don't meet them immediately, they start yelling and calling me names. Now I get what people mean when they say, be careful what you wish for. Because clearly, I was the best man for the job. A man with a bad leg. Perfect for running around fixing things, right? I wanted to be a builder. Big things, lighthouses, bridges. But Dara took one look at me and thought, maybe not the guy who lives like a drunk on ice. So they found me something else. Repairs. Patching up what's already standing. Not quite what I dreamed of. But hey, at least nothing I work on is tall enough to kill me if I fall off. Well, unless you count that one time I got too ambitious. Turns out, hanging tapestries isn't as harmless as it sounds. Some old man came to the keep carrying the head of a dreadful bandit leader. All because he wanted to join his wife here in the Horns. Can you believe that? And here I thought that kind of love only existed in songs.
It's nice to have a break.
Oh, right. The lamellar armour from the Armourer's Almanac. I remember. So how did it turn out? Well, the start can be rough, but once you get the basics down and follow Arden's steps carefully, you could almost be as good as him someday. Depends. Why do you ask? That's true. I always wondered what he looks like, and what he's like in person. He must be an amazing conversationalist. Though I doubt I'll ever get to leave this place. If you manage to track him down, you have to tell me about it. Because I know where to find him. The almanac isn't printed by Arden himself, but in Timberwall, based on his manuscripts. In the first editions, they accidentally included not only Arden's name and pen name, but also his place of residence. I paid a good sum to get a copy, but here it is. No problem. I'll lend you this copy. But don't forget to get it signed.
Less attention, the better. And? No, he doesn't. He knows better than that. Ah, look. If I give you something to do, will you stop talking? Here, take some seeds. Find a free plot and grow whatever you want. That'll teach you to appreciate some peace and quiet. Besides, I'm a bit curious to see what will come of it. Less attention, the better. Less attention, the better. Guess you're too. Don't forget.
I just heard that some old man named Morris showed up at the keep, dragging the head of bald Kate just so he could be with his wife in the Horns. Can you imagine? I still can't tell whether it's bravery or he's just out of his mind. Probably a bit of both. You've done your part in proving your worth. All right, you deserve the truth. You won't find the captain at the Horns of the South. He ordered us to lock down the keep, and then he disappeared. I have my suspicions about where he might be, but I can't say for sure. And frankly, I hope I'm wrong. Brandon once said he wasn't afraid to go to the Dolriada, and the way he said it, I couldn't tell if he was joking. So maybe he went to make a deal with them? I think that's ridiculous. Everyone knows the Dolriada are savages. Diplomacy is not their strong suit. But if it's true, if the captain did go to broker peace with the Dolriada, you'd most likely find him at the All-Mother's Temple, where One Eye and his thugs are holed up. Getting into the temple won't be easy, that's for sure. And frankly, I'd prefer not to hear about your demise. Try sneaking in quietly, or see if you can convince the tribe's representatives to let you through. That's the best advice I can give you. And if you do find the captain, tell him to return to the Horns of the South as soon as possible. Galahad the Pure is already on his way, and he won't be pleased to find a bunch of keepers hiding behind the walls without their commander. We'll all face consequences if that happens.
Welcome to the Museum of the Horns of the South, the southernmost keep under Camelot's jurisdiction. My name is Ridderick, and I will be happy to introduce you to the rich history of this fascinating place. A history that began 623 years ago with the first keeper, Sewell Firstfoot. I'd also like to bring your attention to our numerous exhibits that are, as I like to say, inanimate witnesses of the history of the Horns of the South. It began in the year 542. It is the crowning achievement of a group of keepers who were fascinated with Sewell Firstfoot. It took them years of tremendous effort to finally open an institution devoted to research and education, worthy of commemorating Sewell's great legacy. The first keeper of the museum was Gladwin Flanagan, who was personally appointed by Captain Berach the Black. I don't doubt it, since Sewell Firstfoot was a remarkable figure, well known to every keeper. Drawing on available sources, we can claim with almost absolute certainty that Sewell Firstfoot was the first man who ever set foot on the island of Avalon. As you can probably guess, that's where his moniker, Firstfoot, comes from. Oh, of course. Sewell was an outstanding commander whose strategic mind, bravery, and charisma contributed to our capture of the South from the Four Dwellers. He was also the founder of the Horns of the South, so I can say with absolute conviction that if it were not for Sewell Firstfoot, we wouldn't even be standing here having this conversation. The museum holds a collection of 72 items of the so-called movable, tangible heritage. The collection includes big and small items that represent the world surrounding the keepers of the Horns of the South from the 1st to the 6th century of the Avalonian era. Here you will find militaria, craft tools, everyday objects, furniture, textiles, coins, religious artifacts. I'd say all exhibits are worthy of your attention, but I could point you to the ones I personally think to be the most notable, or subjectively, of course, the most interesting. Those would be the items that used to belong to Sewell Firstfoot. We have his signal horn and also his boots. Those boots were the first to touch Avalonian soil. What is also worth mentioning is the tableware used by King Arthur himself during his visit to the Horns of the South in the 15th year of the Avalonian era. Yes, remarkable, isn't it? You can find them in the central display. Sewell's boots were sewn from 3 pieces of tanned calfskin, tied at the top with a leather strap. The seam goes through the middle of the instep, which is decorated with ornamental embroidery. On the outer side of each shoe, you can find a decorative brass buckle with the motif of the Camelotian bear. It is notable that even after 600 years, they are still excellently preserved, which is unusual considering the high humidity in this area. It means that even the keepers of that time must have realized the historical value of Sewell's boots, and therefore made sure to adequately preserve them. It is indeed an interesting exhibit. The horn was used by Sewell during wartime, not only for signaling, but also for intimidation. It is 50 centimeters long and made of the horn of an ox. It is the color of yellowed bone, with some ash-gray discoloration on the narrow end. It has a brass mouthpiece and silver fittings on its wider side and at the middle. The shape of the fittings suggests that the horn was hanging on a leather strap, which unfortunately has not survived to this day. It's a memento of the visit of the legendary ruler of Avalon. Impressive, isn't it? The tableware is made of tin coated with silver. It consists of a plate, a bowl, and a chalice. The edges are decorated with the motifs of Camelot, a crown and a bear. However, those ornaments are of visibly low quality. That detail, and the fact that those are the only wares from that time that have survived to this day, leads us to conclude that this set was cast specifically for that occasion, and that it was finished by a person unfamiliar with this kind of craft, perhaps a blacksmith or an armorer. Really? Do you mean it? Thank you. That's really nice to hear. I'm not used to positive feedback. Usually people only come here when they've had too much to drink and decided that it'd be fun to come over and start mocking me, or touching the exhibits with their greasy fingers. The last person who seemed to actually be interested in the museum was Lady Elaine. We talked a bit about Captain Lex and the trip that ended tragically in the year 513. It was described in The Last Voyage of the Andraste. An interesting read, although I'd say it should be classified as fiction. Lady Elaine thought differently. Apparently she's looking for the wreck of the Andraste. Can you believe that? Definitely. Personally, I believe that people gifted with curious minds should share their observations, for there's always a chance it will result in new developments. You should find Lady Elaine in the tavern, or somewhere close to it. Good luck. Do you mean the document with information about the course, weather, position, and speed of the ship, as well as all of the stops and other occurrences kept by the captain or the first mate? More specifically, the document from the bridge of the Andraste, which sank tragically in nearby waters in the year 513. Indeed, we have it. Please wait here. Here it is, though I doubt those records will tell you anything, since the weirdness surrounding Avalon made sailing impossible. The knowledge of the precepts of navigation has been forgotten. Oh, no, we know that. You should have mentioned that you're looking for the wreck of the Andraste rather than the logbook. Every keeper knows that the Andraste was swallowed by the ocean. It's near what's currently known as Smuggler's Bay. Here, I'll mark it on your map. I have to admit that local fauna is not one of my main areas of interest, but I do know the answer to this question, as it is rooted in the history of the Horns of the South. It used to be the case that a significant part of the daily catch was gobbled up by our troublesome coastal neighbors. So the keepers of that time found a very peculiar way to deal with the problem. Some of them, called the seagullers, scared off the coastal birds using specially constructed masks. They made them from feathers and pieces of tanned pigskin sewn together. The reason the gulls avoided these masks is unclear, but perhaps their peculiar shape reminded them of a natural predator?